Hello there, shipmates, and welcome to another episode. My name is Cody.
I'm Laz.
And we're not just across the pond, we're across the other pond.
Pies are so good.
Absolutely. Great.
Oh,
I love it.
I was because I was thinking the blueberry bush, but then I was like, because like that pie that I got at St. Louis the other day at the Mexican bakery, it was pretty much. Did I tell you about that?
No, you did not. This is news to me.
You got to go to a real authentic Mexican bakery where like the lady at the counter doesn't speak a lick of English except for numbers, and then you have to throw your horrible Spanish at her. You know, like we got like this little pie thing that was filled with like pineapple filling.
Really?
And pretty much what it was, it pretty much was kind of like a way better like Little Debbie like pie, but without like the weird glaze on it. It just had like sugar on top of it instead. And my God, I was like in heaven for like the 2 bites that it took to eat the entire thing. And it's like the size of my hand, you know, bigger, like the size of both my hands put together. And I just kind of inhaled that because it was my birthday, and I was just like, I
you
just
deserve
need
it.
this in my body right now, you know. But like we had that, and then like pan dulce, you know, if you ever had that, like Mexican,
I heard of that. I don't think I've actually had it though.
It's pretty much just like a bread, like a sort of bread with like crusty sugar on it. It's pretty good. Yeah. And I think the one we had a slight banana flavor, so but I keep thinking that I hallucinated that banana flavor.
Yeah. Maybe you did. Maybe you just imagined it was there.
Anyway.
More importantly, though, what's today's episode about? Actually, before we get into the main topic of this episode, we're starting something new this month with a monthly focus topic.
Mm-hmm.
Ba-na-na-na. And this month's topic is solo game development. Games that are made by one person, mostly. So what are we talking about today, Laz?
Well, I think we're going to talk about not over the head, but Undertale. You know, like we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the music of Undertale. Like maybe not super nitty-gritty. It makes it sound like we're going to take that to the lab and analyze it with DNA analyzations and ask Toby Fox to do a 23andMe test, you know. But like we're going to just like talk about the music and, you know, just how utterly great it is. You know?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal game. I want to put, before we start talking about it though, if you haven't played Undertale yet, pause this recording right now and go play Undertale.
Yeah,
because
just like
it absolutely should be experienced firsthand before listening to anything.
Yeah, just go play it. Like, you know, go buy it, go play it. Get on your computer.
It's available on everything now. You can get it on the computer. You can get it on the Switch. You can get it on the PS4.
Yeah, they got
PS5.
A mobile version now.
Do they?
No.
Okay. Why would you lie like that? I'm giving people good advice on where to play the game, and you're lying.
Yeah, I just feel like what is it? Like being a little brat today. You know, because I'm getting fed up with things, but like I'd rather not say. So Cody, what is your first experience with Undertale? Do you remember? Do you have a memory in your little head about that?
I do actually. The first time I got exposed to Undertale was I was actually going to watch the Steam Train play it on Game Grumps channel, Ross and Barry. And then on the first episode, they mentioned like Toby Fox actually reached out to them and was like, hey, put a disclaimer up on your video because I want people to play the game before they watch anybody else play it. So Ross put up and said, you should go play this before you watch our playthrough. And I went and did that. I was like, okay, I'm going to just download it, play it. And my God, so good. Going in, though, I did know that the pacifist route was like the most content. So I didn't have the experience of like accidentally killing anything because I was like, I'm going to do a full pacifist run right away. But my God, so good. Immediately, the like, everything's good. Everything was good about it immediately.
Yeah, like, unfortunately, I didn't really do that. Like, I actually just went through and watched them play it instead of playing it by myself because at that point, I was really, really, like, an emphasis on the really bad at video games, you know? But, I mean, like, I'm not as bad as my wife, which didn't, you know, grow up playing video games, where she was having to look between the screen and the controller just to move, you know? Which, I mean, like, I understand that. It's just kind of funny to, you know, see someone in that situation. I just assume that everyone knows how to play video
gets
games.
That, like,
you know?
It's that feeling of motor control, like kind of like driving a car, but you're turning right and left. But when you have a controller in your hand, you're just like, I'm moving right, not I'm moving the controller stick right.
Yeah, isn't that weird that once we start having video games, you could say, hey, like you can say I died, and it doesn't mean like.
Yeah,
I feel like you could never say that in life. Like you can't
for sure.
say like
You would never say I died.
well, I mean, I guess like if you like, you know, medically died, but like I think even before like we had medicine, like modern medicine or video games, that phrase just like you could never utter it by yourself and actually, you know, mean it truthfully, you know. I don't know, but like anyway, so we did, because like I remember back when I was living with Kamani, like we were like experimenting doing like let's plays and whatnot, and we decided, okay, well, why don't we get everybody together and play Undertale? And we start playing, and we got through like the snowy level, and I was just like, my God, this is so. I think. Wait, were you there with us? I feel like
I'm
you
not
might
sure I
have
was
been
there for that. I've played a couple of games with you guys, but I don't think I played Undertale together.
But like at the end of the night, I'm just like, wow, I might have to go down the rabbit hole more with this. And so then I just started listening to the soundtrack, and then the one, you know what, the one track that caught my ear the first time I listened through it all?
Which one?
Like, take a guess really quick. Just a little guess or two.
Pull up the track list here.
Just maybe a little guess or two or three or four or five or six.
I'm gonna guess Snowy.
No, why would it be Snowy? Are you
Is it Ghost Fight?
Like, these guesses are like something I would buy at a gas station. What are you doing?
What about Heartache?
I haven't felt that since high school.
Actually, you know what? You're a bassist. Was it Dog Bass? All right, tell me.
Nah, I'm not going to tell you. Let's keep talking about something else then.
I'm not saying anything until you tell me.
Okay, well, I guess our listeners are just going to have a nice, you know, impromptu performance of 3 minutes and 44 seconds. Oh, no, it's 4 minutes and 33 seconds. Nah, it was, what's his name? Bone and Trestle.
Oh, Bone Trestle.
Really got, yeah. And it's I remember, so I'm pretty sure that's track 16, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, no, is the track 16 version.
Yeah, Bone Trestle the first one is like 25 or so, 24. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Did you know that one actually wasn't composed for Undertale specifically?
Was it not?
Nope. Toby Fox wrote that one earlier. I can't remember if it was for the ROM hack or if it was for something else.
Mm-hmm.
but he actually didn't write that one. That one was added in. It was something he'd already written.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's the same thing for whatchamacallit, the
Megalovania.
Megalovania.
Yep,
Yeah.
that one
Uh-huh.
was for his Halloween ROM hack of Mother 2,
Yeah,
Mother
he
3.
did it for that, and he also did it for that one web comic too. I forgot what that one was
Homestuck.
called. Homestuck, yeah. Homestuck was also something that I didn't go through all of Homestuck stuck, but like I think I went to maybe a fourth away to, because like I didn't want to play it myself. I just watched other people play it, you know?
Uh-huh.
Because like I was still in my phase of like I don't really want to play video games, but I kind of like watching people with the commentary, you know?
Uh-huh.
Because like that's what I really liked about Steam Train's run through of Undertale was I loved the voices they gave to
I
everyone, you
really
know?
like I like their voices became the voices that I heard in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can't get it. I can't get like the um what's the bone and trestle guy? Oh my god, my memory.
Papyrus.
Papyrus, yeah, the papyrus is like that. And I can't get it out of my head anymore.
Yep.
But yeah, like I just man, like that game really struck a chord with me, especially with at the time I was going through this kind of like existential crisis of what do I want to do with music? You know, like I was getting really frustrated because like a lot of the music I wrote, like I didn't think it was that hard, but apparently everyone that I showed it to thought it was like the hardest thing they've ever played. But the thing is, it wasn't ever hard music. It was just like really weird harmonies and like changes and stuff that people weren't used to,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And like it would be stuff like, you know, it would be like bum ba da 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 bum bum ba da 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 bum ba da, and then you would get to this ba da 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 ba da da bum ba 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 ba, and then bum bum ba da 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 ba da bum bum, and then it would go ba da 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 just immediately, you know, and people just didn't get that. Like I like things that have like, you know, you can see the stitches kind of thing, you
Uh-huh.
know. And people aren't used to that, I guess, as an undergrad, you know, and that start frustrating me. So I was like, I don't care about writing for these musicians anymore. I'm going to just write for the computer. Especially like after I heard the Undertale soundtrack, I was just like, I'm going to, you know, like my first experience with music and what inspired me to make music in the first place was video games. I'm going to just go back to that root, you know? And that's why I started really going down my video game path. And it actually gave me an idea for a large part of my thesis concert was just like that, what is it? Hypothetical game that I made up, like
Yeah.
Nimbus et Terra. And yeah, and I made that like a whole story for it and like a whole bunch of tracks for a whole bunch of different characters and like levels and whatnot. And you know, to this day, I still like go after that.
Yeah.
So
It's one of the cool things
Undertale
about the
was the
Undertale
thing.
soundtrack is almost everything is played by the computer.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Well,
amount of variance he got in tones is
mm-hmm,
insane to me. Like from the dog song stuff that's
mm-hmm,
got that very woof sound to it, that woofy texture.
mm-hmm.
And then you
Well,
have like beautiful acoustic accompaniment in home. So
mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like nowadays, like most soundtracks are just like a hodgepodge of a whole bunch of different you know, sound libraries and whatnot, and you can have like combinations of real instruments with like synthetic instruments made by computer or like sound libraries and whatnot. It's like you can do like anything you want with a computer, and you can manipulate a lot of sounds like the in that first video you were showing me.
yeah,
um yeah, like it's yeah, I didn't realize that there was so much variants to what he was doing in the track, actually, like with some of the envelopes and whatnot. Because like before, I haven't like analyzed the soundtrack for a long time, not since like college, really, like my undergrad years. So like back then, I didn't understand any of that.
Uh-huh.
I just decided sound okay, there's this thing called sound fonts and I can just use sounds from my favorite games. Okay, cool. And I'll just do that. And I didn't know like all the ins and outs of like mixing and mastering or sound design or whatnot. So I was very limited in that realm, you know. But
Yeah.
like
I think Undertale, we to continue talking about it, we should split it up into area music and character theme because it's a
mm,
masterclass in both of those, I think,
mhm,
in just making atmospheric music that feels memorable and also making characters that have leitmotifs that appear in so many different spots throughout the game. Um,
mhm,
there's a analytical article that we've read, or that I read at least, that we'll link in the description by Jason Yu that talks about leitmotif.
mhm.
But what's a leitmotif, Laz?
Well, it's a motif that's very light, not heavy at all.
Okay, cool.
Okay. That's our episode. But no. So what a leitmotif is just pretty much it's a little ditty or something like that that kind of is is like the label of something. It can be anything. It can be a character, it can be like an emotion, it can be, you know, a world in like video games, a world, a level, or even like a certain event or anything. It can pretty much it's just a musical label on something. And so like for instance, you can have like one leitmotif would be that most people would know is like the rising sun in the Zelda games. It's just like ba-da-dum, 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 ba-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-ba-ba-da-da, you know,
Huh.
like things like that. Um so like there's it's just these little things. And so in Undertale, what Toby Fox does is just take that to like the max. It's like pretty much the entire soundtrack it can be um boiled down to like three light motifs or something like that. That's
Yeah.
an exaggeration, but like he uses reuses like for instance the Undertale theme, the bum 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 dun, 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 in a lot of different places. Um and then there's also like things like, you know, the runes theme, the ba da 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 da. Oh, what was it? Ba da dum ba da dum. Ba da dum ba da dum ba da da bum bum ba dum ba da 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 bum bum ba dum ba da. It's almost like a second Undertale theme, because like that's
Yeah.
also like super Undertale-y, you know.
Yep. I mean, it
Uh,
plays in a lot of places.
yeah, like I didn't even know it was in a waterfall. Like I never really thought of it as like part of that theme, but like with the three notes that Jason you talked about, yeah, like
Yeah.
I can hear it now. Like wow. But like see, that also inspired me to do stuff like that for like a game, you know, cuz like before I never really thought too much about that. And actually a lot of games like for the SNES and stuff like yeah, they'll have some of those like every once in a while. Well, a lot, but at the same time, they don't do it to the degree that Toby Fox did.
Yeah.
You know, Toby Fox took it and just like, you know, had a party with it, you know, just
Yep.
completely went to the water park with it, you know, and then went down the water slide, and then you were wearing your dad's swim trunks, a little too big, came right off, and you had to look for him. That didn't happen to me. I know it sounds like super descriptive, like it happened to me before, but no, that didn't happen to me. I was just coming up with stuff.
Suspiciously specific.
But it really didn't happen. Like, let me tell you, it didn't happen. I did not get so embarrassed that day. No, I didn't. No, really, I didn't. I'm telling the truth.
Anyway, Toby Fox is a master of leitmotifs for stuff like that. And I think it's a really cool take on building up like a structure in your game. Because in that Jason Yu article, he talks about that Ruins theme goes from the start of the game to about the midpoint after you beat Undyne. And then he moves to the Hotland theme becomes the main theme until the end game. And then the end game kind of ties them all together.
Well, the Hotland and the core theme also have the rune in it too. Because it has the bum 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 dun dun bum 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 bum.
Yes.
It has that in it. Well, like, I mean, let me see. Would you call that the rune theme though? Let me see.
The way Jason Yu describes this, that's like the overworld ostinato. It's something that appears in the background of all of the overworld songs.
Yeah, it does, and like he always changes it a little bit. I mean, that's like what you do with leitmotifs, though. But you like kind of like they're protean. They kind of like transform themselves to fit the place that they're in. You know, at the time.
And then it kind of subconsciously gives you an anchor that all of these places are part of the same world, like they share a common thread.
Which, just thinking about leitmotifs, I bet Banjo-Kazooie fits in that category too. Because like, do you remember like each world you were in always did a different version of Gruntilda's theme and stuff like that? I feel like there was parts in that game that were very much like this too.
I think a lot of older games from like the NES to the N64 era had a ton of leitmotifs that they used to recycle content, basically to save space and stuff, and it made it super memorable. Whereas I think newer games kind of fade away from that because they have so much room to work with now.
Well, I mean, like, leitmotifs are a great way to world build, because like you kind of create the vocabulary of the game. You create the language of the game. It's like you give yourself limits to be able to create a personality for the game and for the world in general. So like that's why I think Undertale is such a loved game, because you have that world that is so personable with so much personality that people can identify with it, because it's so, and this is saying this is almost taking away from the genius that is Toby Fox. Is it's so simple, it's simple, and that's the thing that's hard. That's hard for me. That's hard for a lot of people. People don't realize that it's hard to be simple, because you when you look at your toy box, or you look at paints, and it's like, I like this one and 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 this one, and then you get poopy brown, like that's the problem.
It's a good
like,
metaphor for that. You apply too much and it just gets muddied.
Too many cooks.
Yeah.
Right? So like the thing is, like, being able to just sit down and say, like, for instance, I'm going to paint a picture and I'm only going to use green and purple. It all of a sudden it's like it almost has a certain focus to it. Like, it makes a world just by using green and purple. It's like we're in the green purple world now. And what does that green purple mean then? And see, that's where you start getting more and more complex levels of world building, rather than more and more complex level of musicality itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to make a world, you want to focus on the world, not the music. Because if the music takes precedent over the world building, then you're just going to end up with Poopy Brown, you know? And
Yeah.
that's, you know, it's too many cooks spoil the broth, like I said before, you know? And it can't, I mean, like, I think a lot of artists in general will think that kind of thing is a muffle on their creative endeavors. But I think the more and more I look into it, the more I go forward as an artist myself, I see that limitations are a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I think a lot of artists go through that phase of being like, look at how much stuff I can shove into my music
mhm,
and make it complex, and you have to do a lot of thinking to understand the song basically. And
mhm,
then you grow out of it and realize people don't like that because they like to be able to hear specific parts of the song and
mhm.
hook onto something.
Well, I mean, like, there's certain, I think every kind of composition has its, like, composition technique has its place, you know? Like,
Yeah.
there's a place for complexity, but there's also a place for simplicity, and both should be practiced, and both are, like, for instance, if you're going to give me $5, a complex piece is pretty much worth, should be worth as much as a simple piece. But the problem is it's going to take a lot longer to make a complex piece, you know? But at the same time, you can also argue a simple piece that's done masterfully took longer than the complex piece
Yeah.
because you have put all those years of training into your craft to create that, you know? So it's, when I say Toby Fox has made very simple music, it's a compliment because it's so, it's just simple enough to become like an, a world phenomenon. My my nephew in China, he is like obsessed with Undertale. He was making music, like Undertale music in like online music makers and whatnot. He was drawing like you know, Sands and Papyrus
That's so
and
awesome.
playing like these cheap Chinese, like, because they don't, in China, they, nobody actually, most people don't know how to download the game because they don't have the means to download it like the regular copy, you know? So a lot of them over there, like my nephew just downloaded like weird um like, what do you call it, bootleg copies, where it's like all these weird hacks and whatnot, and they kind of look at Undertale through that like bootleg lens, you know?
Weird.
Like my nephew doesn't know the actual story of Undertale. He just knows like, the last time he talked to me, he was like, there was like this like Wizard Sands or something like that. It was like always like a different like spin on Sands, you know? It was weird. But anyway, like, getting back to the music, like it's it's I don't know, it came at just the right time for people to, I feel like there's something about the timing of Undertale's release that really made it critical in the history of not just video game music, but video games in and of itself.
Yeah.
It came in a point where people were starting to, you know, become very retrospective in even their nostalgia itself. You know what I'm saying?
I think
I
so.
th- I think people are like, we're starting to get like a little tired of like all these like knockoffs of like old films and whatnot. And even now it's like, because we were getting stuff like I don't know, you know, King of the Crystal Skull, and then I think when did the first like sequel Star Wars come out? It was also around that time, wasn't it?
I think that was 2015.
Yeah, 2015 is when RuneScape Undertale came out, wasn't it?
I think, yes. Yeah, because they just had their 5th anniversary.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm looking it up here.
It's September 15th, 2015.
But like, it was just like, because Undertale kind of just took those old tropes and just all of a sudden, like, the one thing was, hey, maybe we can make friends with the monsters.
Yep.
You know,
the pacifist ability was such a mind-blowing thing to change in the JRPG scape. Because a JRPG is built on XP grinding.
Uh-huh.
Like, every single one that you play can be broken down most of the time into complete this quest, and along the way, level up your characters by killing everything in your path.
Mm-hmm.
And Undertale completely flipped that and went, no, do it without killing anybody.
Uh-huh. Well,
and
I mean,
you get a better version of the ending that if you go through and kill stuff.
Yeah, it's like fun as hell to go through that. But like, you know, it also has that weird, like, I would say almost Invader Zim quality. You know how like Invader Zim is like Zim is such a horrible person, like, and tries to like kill all humanity or something like that. But then people love him and think he's cute as hell, especially like his, like, what is it, his dog robot or whatever it was.
Uh-huh.
You know, so like, I think there's something to that, like wanting, like, there's like almost an innate quality of people that wants to take monsters and make them into like something cute, you know, make them personable, you know, and relatable. But like at the same time, I think a lot of people like think it to be impossible. I don't know. I think it's also a message that we really need even today, I think, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the main core of Undertale is empathy, is to put yourself in the shoes of somebody else and really understand what they're feeling. Because especially like that last section in New Home where it plays the Undertale theme, the title track with the acoustic guitar, and it brings a lot of the motifs back, and they tell the story of why Asgore is collecting hearts, basically. If you've done the passes throughout the whole time, they explain it all, and it just, I'm pretty sure I cried playing it. It's so, like, the music in that section is the perfect capstone of, like, tugging at your heartstrings.
Oh man, it's just like going through that game, man. But I feel like we can do the philosophy episode about something like that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so too. Look forward to it in the future there, guys. I think we're talking Undertale philosophy.
Yeah. And like, but today is the music. So like,
let's move on to character themes, because I'd say this is probably your favorite part of the music, considering Bone Trousel was the one that you were like, that's what I like.
Well, yeah. Well, to be honest, like, I think the character themes are, I would say they're my favorite parts, because like my favorite themes, well, I told you like my favorite theme from the beginning. Well, actually, I'm not. What is yours? Let's see.
My favorite character theme, I think, is Toriel's.
What's your favorite?
Theme.
Well, your favorite theme in the entire soundtrack is the last Undertale track with the guitar, right?
Yeah, with the acoustic guitar. Yeah, that's probably my favorite track.
But then character theme?
Character theme, I think it's Bone Trousel's so good. I think Toriel's theme, though, the Heartache one, the when you face her as the boss, is the theme that I think of all the time, and his theme, Asriel's, at the end. A lot of those Toriel, Asriel, and Asgore's themes really stick out to me.
Let me see. I just need a like, oh, that's it. I just need to hear like the first half second of everything, and then I get
the they're
whole
so
song
memorable.
Yeah, like because I know like the entire soundtrack back to front. Like, I can like hum what is going to be next on the soundtrack because I've listened to it so much, like so much. I don't know how many times I've listened to the soundtrack, but let me see. Asgore, like, let's see what. Oh, bump, bump, which actually, like, I'm pretty sure there's parts of Heartache in there too.
There are. The ostinato in the background is the same.
Is it?
Yeah, or it's at least really, really close. Jason, you
Bum,
mentioned that in the
bum,
second half of this article.
Oh yeah. Let me see, and then listen to it. Oh yeah, I don't want to listen to it too much while we're recording, but like
yeah, we'll get drawn away just listening to it, honestly.
Because like I mean, I feel like there's a lot more tracks on here. I only see 77 tracks. I feel like there was like 100.
There are
or so,
101 on the regular soundtrack.
Yeah, because like I think this is just for listening. But another one of my favorite character themes is like all of Mettaton's themes. Like
oh yeah.
Well, I mean like Mettaton, what is it? The boss themes, like you start with Ghost Fight. Like how does it go? Like that's like recycled.
That's like the mini boss theme that gets played for Navstablook. Muffet has a similar theme, Muffet, and the Mad Dummy.
The Mad Dummy. And you know where else it is? There's one little tiny piece of it in another song. It's not even a song, really. It's more like we call it Stinger.
Which one's it in?
It's in Dog Bass.
Really?
Yeah, because it's that bum 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 bum. Because like Dog Bass is just bum 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 bum, right? So it's actually got that first part to it.
What a master.
So like, but also that theme, I think it's also. Is it also in Mettaton X's theme too? I'm pretty sure there was a little part of it in there too. Because like, Death by Glamour, I think it's also in that one. That's another one of my favorite tracks in Undertale.
Yeah, like, Death by Glamour has so much in it. Like it comes in with the regular Mettaton stuff. It has a little bit of Hotland melody in it. It's got his motif from the last one that he fought in, and then he has like a new one that's really awesome.
Yeah, like it's kind of like what boss themes are supposed to be, because like a lot of, especially final boss themes, are almost like a compilation of a bunch of different themes.
Yeah.
So
the way that the character themes blend with the way that the combat works as well in the game really just takes every fight another notch up in like amazingness level. Like the boss fight with Flow at the end flows so perfectly in time with everything you're doing, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like I think a lot of it through the pacifist run. Is it the pacifist run? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, pacifist run. It's just like, you just don't have control of anything. You just kind of, they make it feel like it, but like it just guides you through it, really. Yeah,
but like, you're really going with the flow as a pacifist.
Yeah, that's another one. Like the last fight with Flowey was also like really, like the music in that was also really crazy.
It's so cool. I mean, it goes like he's got his evil theme, and then he's also got a theme that plays from earlier that whenever you're like freeing the hearts, that theme plays, and it gets more and more varied and frantic the longer the fight goes on. Like it just blends so perfectly into the whole fight itself, and really makes you just feel so cool.
I really like these, like, because do you remember Jax from Kirby? Do you remember that? He's like one of the bosses that is like almost well known. Like he's like this little jester character.
Okay, yeah, I do know that.
And he can open himself up into to suck you into another dimension.
Yes, I know who this is now.
Yeah, like I feel like with that fight you get a lot of that where like Flowey brings you into like another dimension where there's like those neon like items, like there's like like socks or like mittens or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like skates. I
And he
forgot
looks
what it is.
fucking insane. He's all photoshopped to look scary
Mm,
as fuck.
yeah. I like that video that was explaining that the sounds from that fight were actually from like a Ronald McDonald commercial
Yep,
back
like a
in like
1960s commercial. What a
and
great idea.
and that
Yeah.
Sans voice is actually just like one little snippet from that SpongeBob episode.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I didn't know that.
Toby
But
Fox,
like
again, just a mastermind of using sound in
mhm.
general. Like a lot of the sounds are so
Well,
unique.
you know the thing is like I don't think he's like a genius or anything in these. I just think he's better at choosing them. Cuz like I don't he's not like all that knowledge that I was like that I saw in that video you sent me is like I know how to do. It's just like I don't make the same choices that Toby Fox does.
Uh-huh.
There's there's a difference, you know? It's like you can have all the knowledge in the world, but like can you put the musicality in it, you know? Can you bring something new to the table? Can you bring something that is palpable to people to the table? Because like there's like a thin line between innovation and popularity, and if you don't ride that line, then you're either going to make something like just that just gets drowned out in all the noise, or that's just it just can't like it's just not understood, you
Uh-huh.
know. So I think that's why I really appreciate um Toby Fox's work, because like it's palpable just to the right point, you know? And that's video game music in general. Like a lot of like if you think especially like of what he was really like one of the main soundtracks that he was inspired by, you know, the Mother series,
Yep, Earthbound.
especially Earthbound. Like if you listen to the Earthbound soundtrack, it's just a clusterfuck of all different type of styles, and very a lot of them being very experimental, and the most notable one being the fight with Gigas at the end,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a man, it slaps for me at least. Like that when with that what is it, the Gigas is severely injured theme, where it has that background. It's like have you ever listened to that?
No.
Man, it slaps though. Like it's like I see when I was in high school, I wouldn't when I was doing my my homework assignments and stuff, I wasn't listening to your plain old like, you know, Effervescence or whatever band people were into, like My Chemical fuck like whatever that romance, My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, My
I
Chemical
was
Romance.
I was like listening to you know, Carl Stockhausen and whatnot, and all those like experimental guys. What is it? And Schoenberg and whatnot, all those expressionisms and
Avant-garde
stuff.
composers.
Yeah, I was just listening to that, and it's like when I was, you know, doing my math homework, it sounded like you were coming into at least the fourth level of hell or something. You know?
Just a cacophony of sound and numbers.
Yeah, you know. So like, I don't know. Like, I guess I get a kind of trained my ear to be okay with these sounds at an early age, but I think a lot of people will listen to that Giga song I was just talking about and be like, dude, that's I don't want to listen to that even in the middle of the day. I feel like even like it will be noon the sun is up on high, it's sunny, and there's birds chirping, I'm gonna listen to that, and something's going to just like creep out of the shadows and take me forever. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's something interesting about video game music that when you remove it from context, sometimes it loses like the soul of it almost. Like it feels weird to listen out of context.
Well, like, I mean, especially
like,
if you're talking
the Pokemon
about
battle theme, I think doesn't exist outside of Pokemon battles in my brain. Like I'll hear it and be like, what am I doing? Like I need that context to appreciate the music.
Well, you know, like I also wonder sometimes if you would have never had these games, if those songs existed in and of themselves, would they have been hits? You know, like Super Mario Bros. Like that's arguably like the anthem of video game music. You know? Oh well, that's Mario 2.
You're right.
I'm talking about.
Yep. I think
But
Mario 2 more because of that classical piece you showed me that one time.
I really like Super Mario 2 though. But and you know what's funny about that game too? Like people, that's also one of those games that just got converted to Mario at the last second too. You know?
Yeah, it was Dokapon Kingdom, I think was what it was called.
Yeah, I don't know, but like the what is it? The menu theme. A lot of people really like that. You know the
yep.
Like it's just that I think around that time people were really getting into the ragtime kind of stuff. But yeah, I wonder though, like a song like that's so iconic, like the original Super Mario Bros. Theme, would that have been a hit in and of itself? You know,
I don't think it would have personally.
I don't think so.
I think devoid of the context, it doesn't ring. Like it's just a chip tune. But when you load up that one level, it plays that music. You immediately go, "Fuck yeah, dude!"
It, and you know it. But then I also think of, okay, there was pretty much what 4 songs in the original Mario Bros.
Yeah,
right. Like
it's very economical.
Yeah, it was like the overworld theme. Then there was the underground theme. And then there was the underwater theme and Bowser's Castle. I think in the order of memorability, it would go overworld. It would go exactly in that order, actually.
Yeah, I think so too.
Probably because maybe like beginner gamers could pretty much only get to level 2.
Yeah.
You know, and then the underwater level is kind of hard, to be honest.
Yeah, I've never been good at them.
Bowser's Castle, like that's like, I never really thought about that, but that might have also affected the popularity of each one. But at the same time, Bowser's Castle is a very like dissonance. Well, to be honest, there's also there's like the Bowser's Castle fight too, right?
Did I don't even know the music.
I'm pretty sure they changed it.
I thought it might have just had a stinger.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it might.
Maybe it did.
I think it was the same music, but it just had the like dun when it started or something like that. I have not played Mario in a hot minute.
Yeah. Well, like it's yeah, like because like the first two, like the underground theme and the overworld theme, I think have kind of come into the mainstream culture. But do you remember the underwater theme?
No, wait. I do, but I can't sing it because it's like it's nebulous in my brain. I can.
Yeah, I know.
I can. It like weaves in and out of when I'm thinking of it. It's very much like an underwater thing. It's just like dipping my toe in, and I'm like, "Come on, brain, you can do this. You've seen it before."
Well, like it's got like a big old grand like curtain opening entrance.
Yep.
Where it's like,
Da-da.
yeah, that you're getting there. Yeah, come on.
I'm thinking of
Da, da, da.
da-da-da-da-da-da-da,
Here,
which is not it.
I'll give you some. Da, 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 da.
Da-na. No, I don't have it. It's not in my
So
brain.
it's like da da bum ba da ba ba da dum bum ba bum ba da da ba da 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 ba da
Da-na-na-na-na.
da ba da
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
bum
Yeah, now
ba
I got it.
ba da 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 da, and then the bass is like bum bum ba bum 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 bum, you know. So like I think most people wouldn't be able to do that. I think most people, even like non-gamers, would be able to get the Mario Bros theme and maybe probably the Underground theme.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Uh,
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
mhm. And I think they would know the Underground theme enough to get the joke of like what was Mario's favorite clothing material, and denim, 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 right? Right. Like but then there's Bowser's Castle theme where it's just like what that like do you even remember any part of it?
No, not at all. Like
There's
it's got like
pretty
a long droning sound.
well yeah, it's got like this synthetic strings like and it goes bum bum. Yeah, it's just like pretty much that like
Yep.
over and over again.
It feels like a horror track almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean like it's supposed to be Bowser's Castle, right? So yeah. Um
I think something cool going back to the Undertale soundtrack is that even outside of the out of the video game context though,
mm-hmm.
I think the music almost tells its own story when you listen through it. At least to like the first ending, because after that it gets a little mixed up. But because of the way that leitmotifs are developed through the music, there's so many callbacks to earlier parts in the soundtrack that it feels like you're listening to a full-blown musical almost.
Mm-hmm.
Since the characters have their own themes that are so well expressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, this is Undyne's in this situation because her theme comes up.
Well, you know, the thing is, I think a part of the thing that made the music so memorable and so well weaving into the story, well, like weaved so well into the story, is because characters design was also amazing on so many different levels. The story part of the character design, the actual like pixel art.
Oh yeah.
And like everything was so memorable. You know, like look at a character like Sans. Like he's got pink slippers on. And you look at that and it's like, why?
And then
like,
he's the short dude
like
paired with the really tall dude cliche. And it just works so well.
Yeah, so like these things like they just like because it reminds me of the concept of wabi sabi, right? You know that concept, right?
I know the phrase. I'm not sure what the actual concept is.
Well, pretty much like here's one little story that illustrates it very well. You know, like in Japan you have the Zen rock gardens, right?
Yeah.
And then like you would have the apprentice, you know, clean up the rock garden and, you know, make it immaculate, right? And so you'd use the rake and whatnot and make like everything nice and even and whatnot and clean out all the different things and whatnot. And so like one day this one apprentice was just like cleaned it up, got it all immaculate, showed it to his master, and then the master was like, it's not perfect yet. And then he went over to the tree and just hit it once, and like 3 leaves fell onto the rock garden, and then he's like, now it's perfect. See, it's like it's also the main idea behind the art of kitsugi. You know what kitsugi is?
Nope.
It's the art of taking broken pottery and fixing it with gold.
Okay, I do know that actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and using gold to say that the flaws are the perfection of the piece, you know, like making the
Yeah,
flaws the main focus, you know. And that's like the whole idea of wabi sabi, is that um perfection isn't real perfection. A flawed perfection is actually perfection, you know. And so
very
I
cool.
think, I mean, that's like the one of the main tenets of character design, to be honest. Like, think of all the any character, any of the most like uh the best written characters ever, you know,
They've all got a
any,
flaw, at least one.
they all got a flaw. And to be honest, like, there's a reason that I think Mickey Mouse is not like a good character. Like, I don't think Mickey Mouse is a good character because, like, think about it. He's starting to like slowly fade into the background because Mickey Mouse is just like Mario. I think that's also why people don't really like Mario as much as like Luigi. I love Luigi, but Mario, it's like he's so perfect, he seems like a dick, right? It's the same thing kind of with Mickey Mouse. It's like, yeah, he's like the face of Disney, and actually I would argue that he isn't anymore. Like, he's just so perfect that it's like, fuck him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think that's also why South Park like made him into an evil mastermind, you know?
yeah,
So like I think
just to give him
that's,
a little bit of a flaw.
I mean,
Mickey Mouse
I
is such a
wonder.
template character. He can just kind of fit in anywhere, was basically what Walt did with him.
Mickey Mouse?
Yeah, because like there's
Yeah.
Three Musketeers version of Mickey Mouse. He's got like a million other versions.
Hmm. Well, you know, like I think people like flaws in characters because it reminds them of their own humanity. You know? So
Yeah,
like I I I'm willing to bet that more people like Luigi than Mario. Like it at least if you get to know both of their characters, because like Mario is kind of a non-character, to be honest.
yeah, he's a self-insert character. Anybody could be Mario.
Yeah, like he doesn't have any personality, but you know, like Luigi and Wario, you know, like, and then Waluigi, like all of them have like a certain, they got, I mean, especially Wario and Waluigi, they are just like, you know, the bad, not bad, like super bad guys, but like not the good guys kind of thing. It's kind of like the ugly part of the good, bad, and ugly. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Did you ever play the
And
Wario Land games?
oh yeah, dude. I
I
played
played so much Wario Land 3 on my Game Boy Advance.
well, I never played like the Game Boy Advance. I played the GameCube one.
There was a GameCube one?
Yeah, there's Wario Land for the GameCube.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. I
we
remember they moved to WarioWare basically was what they did.
yeah, Wario, where I never played that, but I've seen it on like online and whatnot. It looks fun. It's just I've never gotten the time to really get into it.
Yeah.
So, but see, that's what I'm coming back to Undertale. That's why I like, and I think most people like the characters in Undertale because they're so like Toby Fox leans so much into their flaws, but makes it, it endears the flaws. Like, it's like if we're talking about Kitsugi, and Kitsugi uses gold to show its flaws, he uses Toby Fox uses endearment to make the flaws seem better. Like look at Sans. He's like the lazy character, but
Yep.
then you also find out he's like the main boss of the entire game, right?
Yep, in genocide mode. And he also takes care of his brother and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
he makes jokes all the time. And like
Mm-hmm.
in the pacifist run, you hang out with him so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like he's just a cool guy.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd hang
and
out with Sans.
yeah, you know, like, and all the characters have like these little flaws in them that makes them endearing. Like, take Metatron. Like, he's always like, quote unquote, trying to kill you, but not really. He says he's trying to kill you, but then at the end, uh, he like just, I don't know. It's like he kind of like play fights you kind of thing.
Yeah, he just wants the viewers.
Mm-hmm. I know, it's just like that kind of like flaw to him makes it. And isn't there like a theme that like there was like, yeah, wasn't Metatron like the neighbor ghost to Napstablook? Have you ever heard that?
I think I have heard that. There's a lot of secrets that we could delve
Because
in another episode at some point too.
if you go to the house right next to door to Napstablook, it says something like, "Oh, I want to become a star" and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so like I've heard people say that it's
Metaton is
Napstablook's
an
neighbor
experiment
that,
from Alphys.
yeah, to put a soul, to attach a soul onto um in an animate object. So like yeah, but it's just, yeah, I don't
To
know,
wrap
but
it up, Undertale's dope as hell.
yeah, and
Listen to the full soundtrack. You don't even have to play the game. Just listen to the full soundtrack.
yeah, I need to listen to it again because like I haven't done it in a few years, but every time like I'm feeling sad, I listen to the soundtrack and it reminds me of like why I'm doing things, you know? So
It
especially with
fills you with
music.
determination.
Yeah, I forgot about it. I even used it for this is the last thing I'll say before we sign off. Like I remember when I was teaching English to this group of kids in China, like they were about in like middle school or something. Like I was trying to have them play through this game. Man, this just shows you how evil kids are. Like we got to the first monster, and then, you know, it has like the 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 options, you know, fight or talk. And then I was like, okay, now class, what do you want to do? Do you want to talk to him or do you want to kill him? They're like, kill him, murder him, destroy. Oh my god. They're like, but you know, maybe he's nice. It's like, no, take the knife and slit his throat. I'm like, no, okay, that's not the point of this game.
You're missing the
like,
lesson. You're missing it.
I'm just like, it'll be funner if you don't just destroy everything. It's like, no.
Well, everybody, don't be like those kids. Be empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice to people. Don't kill anyone.
Even if people are like seem like monsters, you know, people are human. Like you can get to people's soft chewy centers a lot of times, but then there's those people, you know, I don't know.
Let's hop in the pond and see if we can find ourselves some moist chewy centers.
Yeah, I'm going to just stay in there until I get just all way too pruny.
Let's prune it up.
Isn't that weird that prunes are dried, but then we call ourselves getting way too wet pruny?
That's the end. That's the end of the episode right there.
Yeah, it is. Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody.